Hi, everyone. They turned the lights out on me. But I wanted to come before I turn the lights back on. And talk about, I know I said I was going to do this months ago, but whatever. I'm here. Pillars of the Flower Moon by David Wan. First of all, I finished the book. I did watch the movie in the theater. I do plan on going back and rewatching it on Apple TV Plus now that it's on Apple TV. And I must say, not only is it a terrific read, I actually went to the store and bought more of his books because it reads like a novel. And the researcher side of me just loves this because it's just really, really good. The difference though in the movie, first of all, it is almost identical. The book, the movie does a fantastic job at the book. And if you watch I mean, they won so many awards, and it's the first, I believe, the first Native American who played the star, which I think is Molly. Yeah. Um, Hale is played by Robert De Niro. So I'm going to go in between the book and the movie. I'm going to say, oh, and Leonardo DiCaprio is playing Molly's husband. Fantastic job. Fantastic job by all, actually. They look absolutely nothing like the character for sure. Um, the last half, this is what happens in these kind of stories. First of all, as I watched the film, because I watched it before I read the book, as I watched the film, I was getting angrier. And the film is fascinating because it takes you through kind of like this the it takes you from the uh how they're showing you the film through the lens of them telling the story on the radio. And that's how this story really got told out again. Um, um, okay, sorry. Uh, I got distracted. I, anyway, that's how the story became more popular because they were trying to keep this story alive because this is really one of the first cases that really gave rank to an FBI. It gave a justification for having an FBI. Um, we usually focus on prohibition, which also did so too. But this is one of the caveats, one of the big takeaways. But the prohibition really starts Hoover's career. This really gets him to get funding from Congress to be like, look, this is what's necessary, what's needed, because somebody can kill someone and hop to the next state, and we can't we can't really go after them. We need interstate, we need intrastate when it comes to criminals. Um, I think one of the big takeaways at the end of the book, and this is where it gets really depressing. So, FYI, oh, if you don't know what it's about the Osage Indians, Osage Native Americans, in which that are in Oklahoma. First of all, they did not, they got to Oklahoma. They were put on these reservations. and the discovery of oil. The thing that the movie deals with is Tulsa. They do deal briefly with Tulsa happening, and these Osage Indians are looking like that ain't gonna happen to us. So, no, they're not bombing you like the black folks, but what they are doing is murdering you. And the belief is that it was between about a 7-year period. This is where the film deals with about a 7-year period and looking at how Hale was one of the orchestrators of killing off these native people for their head rights so that they can own their property and sell it or get the oil from it because the white men and women were coming to this community and was like, yo, why these natives making so much money? They don't have to work. They can just collect money off of the land with the land yields, and we want in. And so their framework is, oh, this is how we're going to do it. We're going to kill them and take all their stuff. But they're not doing it just by in some cases they're running them off the road and making it look like it's an accident. Some of them are being shot, like Molly's sister, but there's another number of them that are like that. Some of them are poisoned. Um, some of them are, I mean, I think those are the big three. Oh, some of them, they blew up the house. So it's all of these different ways of how do we kill these people so we can take their stuff. And it's infuriating that the Osage Indians funded their own investigation to get the federal government to come down and to investigate. The first time they sent someone, the dude was killed. The second time, they're like, look, people are dying at a high rate. So they're dying, Osage native tribe dying at 2.5 times the rate of the national average, in which all of them are wealthy, down to the down to the children are having a couple $100,000 to their name, right? And a couple $100,000 in the 1920s is a lot of money. 1910s, 1920s, 1930s. It's a lot of money now, but back then it was an insane amount of money. I think the more depressing part of this is that everybody's in on it. So not only are they killing them, but they're also making money off of killing them by charging them 10 times the price to bury them, 10 times the price for any good, 10 times the price of everything. They're overcharging them for any medical care. They all tend to have are pre-positioned to having diabetes. They're literally poisoning them with diabetes or poisoning them with their food. Like these, and the most insane thing to me is they will kill a husband, they will kill their wife or husband, and then marry the brother, or adopt the child. And this is what they see, this is what makes Tulsa even more interesting. These Osage, and they're not the only ones, uh, allowed white men to be their guardian and to dictate how they were going to allocate their money. Some Osage natives were like, nah, this is not okay. And then what some of them did is they would then force them to take out loans against their own money that they had and then have to pay back that loan at a much higher percent. I'm loaning on my own money and have to pay you. And it's a scheme. Whereas in Tulsa, white men tried to do the same. The difference is that the Black community fought tooth and nail and took them to court and was like, "You are not going to be our governor. You're not going to be over us. You are not going to be the person who is over our children. I'm a mom, I'm a dad. Who are you? You are not going to be dictating how my children, what my children's land is. So then you can have their mineral rights. You're not going to do it to me. You're not going to do it to my children." And so, therefore, that is another motive to bomb them. But it took decades for the Osage natives to be able to fight this in the courts. And even the movie doesn't get into that. The book does get into that at the very end. I think the sad thing about the book, which happens at the end, that does not happen in the movie. Yes, most of these people do go to jail. These white people go to jail. But it's a town of white folks that are screwing them over, from the bank to the doctors to the everybody is in on killing these people and taking their money. And the author, David Grann, goes and interviews people. He also goes back into whoever's left. First of all, there's not many of them left. And he's discovering as he's researching that, you know what, this goes way back longer than what the FBI knows. It actually goes back to, 10 years before, 10 years later. And in fact, not only did they kill the mother and father, sometimes they killed the kids. Like, by the grace of God, some of these people lived. It literally is. And they're saying that at least one person on average, one or two people per family, was murdered. And many of the people who were murdered, you can trace the money and see that the money is not just hell, it's going bigger than that. It is the banks, it is whatever. And so I sat back and I thought about the implications, because if you've collected hundreds of thousands of dollars from people in the 1920s and 30s, got to remember that we had a Great Depression, and you collected all this money from these folks. How much of a head start did their ancestors than their descendants have? And how do you pay this back? Because technically you owe these people you owe these people money. They did sue the federal government for mismanaging some of their the money that was owed to them, and got back tens of millions of dollars. Yeah. um, and how most of the minerals are kind of dried up. And so, of course, nobody's doing anything now, but also not just the millions of dollars that have been taken from these people. Because I really don't even I think it was like 38 million. And I'm thinking that probably ain't enough. And because you took their land, you took their mineral rights, you took their land, you took their money. And you took their culture because you killed so many of them off. It's amazingly sad. Many of them were not going to be get justice. And as I read it, I was like, yeah, good luck. And you can feel the hopelessness of the author at the end, like, And that's the sad part. I mean, I think that's the tragic part. Their grandkids are walking around still like, I want justice for my grandparent. You know, you know what I mean? Like, that wasn't that long enough if you have grandkids who are living around who are familiar with their grandparents and they were killed. Or some of them didn't see their grandparents, some of them were orphans. Their parents were orphans. Um, I think some of the saddest is that some of these, uh, some of the like the one who killed Molly's family, Molly's husband, Ernest. He lived until the 80s, the 1980s. Yo, I mean, and actually won a court case to make his way back to Oklahoma. So then he comes back and lives near the community, talking about he wants a relationship with his children. You were you had an intent on blowing up your I mean his wife and these kids that you now want a relationship with. But Molly and the kids did not make it because one of the kids was sick. But you were drugging her. You were poisoning her to kill her. It's a very good book, very good movie. It's on Apple TV Plus. I highly recommend it. But I mean, as you're watching it, you're like, wow. I mean, it's really sick. And the depths of the criminality of it and just making it like these people were so indispensable. It's disgusting. Good book, good movie. Highly recommend it. I'm actually going to read more of his books because I'm hooked. I'm very hooked now. Okay. See you later.